Fare thee well to Nantucket and the sands of Coatue, and my fair Siasconset lying low o'er the dew. I'm bound round the ocean and ready to sail, in hopes to find riches in hunting the whale. Herman Melville, Moby Dick. Chapter 14. Nantucket. Take out your map and look at it and see what a real corner of the world it occupies. How it stands there way offshore, more lonely than the Eddystone Lighthouse. Look at it, a mere hillock, an elbow of sand, all beach, without a background. And thus have these naked Nantucketers, these sea hermits issuing forth from their anthill in the sea, overrun and conquered the watery world like so many Alexanders. For the sea is theirs. They own it as emperors own empires. And then adieu to my comrades, for a while we must part, like a wise to the dear one who e'er won my heart. The cold polar wind my love will not chill, and the longer my absence, the more loving we'll feel. Now if you hear on the night wind that my spirit has flown, you go walking in the low hills of Shimolone. When the wings of the white owl wheel in from the sea, you will know it's my spirit returning to thee. Again, Herman Melville, Moby Dick, chapter 101. There are 135 chapters. This is called The Decanter. I boarded her at midnight, somewheres off the coast of Patagonia, and drank good flip down in the forecastle. Now, it was a fine gam we had, and they were all trumps, every soul on board. A short life to them and a jolly death. And that fine gam, long, very long after old Ahab touched her planks with his ivory heel, it reminds me of the noble, solid Saxon hospitality of that ship. May the parson forget me and the devil remember me if I ever lose sight of it. And flip? Did I say flip? Hey, we flipped it at the rate of 10 gallons the hour. And when the squall came, for 'tis squally off there by Patagonia, and all hands, visitors and all, were called to reef topsails, we were so top-heavy we had to hoist each other aloft in bowlines, and we ignorantly furled the skirts of our jackets into the sails so that we hung there reef-fast in the howling gale, a warning example to all drunken tars. Well, whiskey's life, a man of whiskey, ho, Johnny, ho, always was since time began. Whiskey for me, Johnny, ho, whiskey comes to near my nose. Whiskey, ho, Johnny, ho, tip her up, down she goes. Whiskey for me, Johnny, ho, whiskey made me wear old clothes. Whiskey, ho, Johnny, ho, whiskey gave me a broken nose. Whiskey for me, Johnny, ho, here comes the cook with the whiskey can. Whiskey, ho, Johnny, ho, a drink around for every man. Whiskey for me, Johnny, ho, and whiskey caused me sore abuse. Whiskey, ho, Johnny, ho, whiskey put me in the calaboose. goes. Whiskey for Johnny Ho. Whiskey, whiskey everywhere. Whiskey ho, Johnny Ho. Whiskey that can none compare. Whiskey for Johnny Ho. Drink around for every man. Whiskey ho, Johnny Ho. A bottle full for the shanty man. Whiskey for Johnny Ho. Once again, Herman Melville. Yes, Moby Dick. But now, the prologue. Well, we're away, about 2 points awfully bout, sir. Rise up on that wheel then, mister, hold her steady. Mast head ahoy! Can you see that whale now? Ah, sir, Charlotte spam and blows, how she breaches! And how far off? About 2 miles by the look of her spout. Thunder and lightning's in air. Call all hands! Well, the lookout, he stood on the topmast high, a spyglass in his hand. There's a whale, there's a whale, there's a whalefish, he cried. And she blows on every span, brave boys, blows on every span. It's advertised in Boston, New York, and Buffalo. 100 brave Americans a whaling for to go. Blow the winds in the morning and blow the winds high ho. Haul and run in gear and blow, boys, blow. They tell you the clipper ships are running in and out. They say you'll take 500 sperm before you're 6 months out. Blow the winds in the morning and blow the winds high ho. Haul and run in gear and blow, boys, blow. They sail you to Nantucket town before a time to dwell. Oh, the thieves there are much thicker than the other side of hell. Blow the winds in the morning, blow the winds high ho. Haul and run in gear and blow, boys, blow. Now we're out to sea, my lads, the wind comes on the blow. Half the crew is sick on deck and the other half below. Blow the winds in the morning and blow the winds high ho. Haul and run in gear and blow, boys, blow. We pass by the galley boy with eye upon the mate. We smell the old horse cooking there and up comes all we ate. Oh, blow the winds in the morning, blow the winds high ho. Haul and run in gear, blow, boys, blow. The captain's on the quarter deck is squinting at the sail when up aloft the lookout sights a mighty school of whale. Blow the winds in the morning, blow the winds high ho. Haul and run in gear and blow, boys, blow. So row the way the boat, sweet boys, and after him we'll travel. But if you get your nearest foot, he'll kick you to the devil. Blow the winds in the morning, then blow the winds high ho. Haul away that run in gear and blow, boys, blow. Now that he is ours, my boys, we'll bring him alongside. We'll over with our blubber hooks and rob him of his hide. Blow the winds in the morning, blow the winds high ho. Haul away that run in gear, blow, boys, blow. And now that our old ship is full and we don't give a damn, we'll bend on all our stunsails, we'll sail for Yankee land. Blow the winds in the morning, blow the winds high ho. Haul away that run in gear and blow, boys, blow. When we get home, our ship made fast, and we get through our sailing. A wine and glass around we'll pass. Damn this blubber whaling. They call me the whale, for that's what I am. That's what I aim to be. You may call yourselves the king of the land, but I am the king of the sea, brave boys. I am the king of the sea. You came after me in your matchstick boats, your harpoon poised for to kill. When I looked you in the eye, I never saw you cry, but I know that I gave you a chill, brave boys. I know that I gave you a chill, and I didn't ever mean you any harm, brave boys, when I sent you to the bottom with my tail. I only meant to show you that you should have been at home, instead of on the ocean killing whales, brave boys, instead of on the ocean killing whales. But you never got the message, and more you came, till I ran out of places to hide. When your ships got so big that I could not bring you down, then I knew you had turned the tide, brave boys. I knew you had turned the tide. Now you come after me in your factory ships. You never even touch me with your hand. In the morning I am playing with my babies in the waves. In the afternoon I'm packed into your cans, brave boys. In the afternoon I'm packed into your cans. And you've gotten so efficient with your instruments of death that now I am hardly alive. But if you treat each other the way you've treated me, then maybe I am going to survive, brave boys. Maybe I am going to survive. Long ago, when we were still close to the earth and the sky and the wind and the sea, we would worship these elements and fill them full of all sorts of fantastic creatures, strange creatures, and many times beautiful. For it seems that long ago, down an old Cape Cod, long before Route 6 cut up her center, there lived in the town of Yarmouth a man by the name of Ichabod Paddock. Now, Ichabod Paddock was a great whaling master. He was known far and wide for his prowess in the art of killing the whale. In fact, it was the same Ichabod Paddock that was brought over by the Nantucket Quakers in 1696 to instruct them in the finer points of whaling. And it was generally said that any whale was fair game for Ichabod Paddock. Any whale, that is, except a large old cantankerous sperm whale, lived in Nantucket Sound, a whale who went by the name of Crookjaw. Every time Ichabod would work up alongside a Crookjaw and let at him with his harpoon, that harpoon would glance off like a dull axe off a young tree, or it might shatter to 1,000 coffin nails. This perplexed Ichabod. He deduced there was something unnatural about that whale. Perhaps even supernatural. He was going to find out what it was if it were the last thing he'd ever do. One day they're out cruising Nantucket Sound. It was one of those late spring days when the water was picking up the blue of the sky, all flecked with foam and whitecaps and clouds. The sun warm, the wind fresh, everybody settling back into the enjoyment of the whole affair, when they came upon Crookjaw, fast asleep off a handkerchief shoal. Well, Ichabod, he didn't need any prodding. He kicked off his boots, threw off his coat, sprang over the side, he swam for that whale. Upon reaching Crookjaw, he situated himself in front of the slumbering whale's mouth. He tread water, and he waited. And he waited. And he waited. Then it began to happen. Crookjaw stretched out his flukes in a mighty whale-sized stretch, and he commenced to yawn. And his mouth grew wider and wider and wider, till it seemed as if Ichabod were staring into the very hole of hell itself. And in he popped. Now it's dark inside, tolerable close for air, but up ahead Ichabod he could make out a faint glimmer of a light, so he made for that light. And wouldn't you know that deep inside that whale, Ichabod Paddock found a cozy little cabin. And inside that cabin now there were two people. And they were playing at cards. Now one was a beautiful woman, eyes of emerald green and skin blushed the color of plum blossoms. And it was said that she had hair the golden color of Eastham corn. And the other, well, he was the devil. Now Ichabod, being a properly bred New England gentleman, apologized profusely for interrupting the game. The devil shouted out, somewhat absent-mindedly, "Devil, take me, you've won again!" He disappeared in a cloud of green smoke with little fringes of blue fire. "Ma'am," Ichabod ventured, his Yankee curiosity getting the best of him, "those stakes must have been high, as that gentleman was mortal put out at losing." Well, that's when she fixed him with those emerald green eyes of hers and said, "Ichabod Paddock, you were the stakes." Now that's quite a way to begin a friendship, but a friendship nevertheless ensued. Ichabod, he spent the night, and the next day, after he had been given up for lost by the crew, they saw the rosy pre-morning waters of Handkerchief Shoal, set a flurry and a flutter, hands and feet kicking and flailing in the water. It's Ichabod. He's swimming back to the vessel, hoists himself up over the boat, shakes himself, goes down to his cabin without uttering a word, much to the consternation of the crew. But the next night, he's over the side again. Now this continued. Day into day, week into week, month into month, Ichabod's great reputation as the whaling master began to wane, as well as a certain element of trust that had been held for him at home. One day, Ichabod's wife presents him with this shiny new whaling iron. Oh, it gleamed and it glittered in the sun, and it pleased Ichabod. But it also caused him some pain, as it reminded him of duties long neglected. And then she insists her father go along on the next voyage. Well, what could Ichabod say? The father-in-law, the old man, came. And out cruising Nantucket Sound, much as before, only this time the sun was setting across the equinox, deep into the whiteness of winter, they came upon Crookjaw, once again slumbering off a handkerchief shoal. Now, by this time, Ichabod and Crookjaw, if they weren't fast friends, they were certainly quite used to each other. But not so that old man. Oh, no. Gold gleamed in his Quaker eyes. He insisted Ichabod he lower for that whale. Well, Ichabod could think of several reasons why maybe he shouldn't, but he figured he better not tell the old man any of them, so what could he do? He lowered. Besides, the harpoon would glance off like it had in the past, and he and Crookjaw were close enough friends so that, well, the whale would understand. Every man took the station, and they rowed for the whale. Upon reaching Crookjaw, they muffled oars and backed water. Ichabod, giving up the steering oar, came forward, picking up that new harpoon. He braced his knee into the clumsy cleat, arched his back, swung out his mighty arm, and he let at him. But this time it took. Crookjaw upended in a spasm of pain and sounded. They played out. But inside of 10 minutes, Crookjaw surfaced, vomited thick black blood, turned fin out, and he died. Well, they brought him alongside the vessel. They began cutting in for the blubber. And wouldn't you know that deep inside that whale where Ichabod Paddock's cozy little cabin had been, all that man could find was a sun squall of emerald green, some tiny little shells of plum blossom pink, and some seaweed. Seaweed sun-bleached to the golden color of Eastham corn. And it's never been known whether Ichabod ever discovered that shiny new whaling iron that his wife had given him. We see it was fashioned from pure silver, the only metal that can pierce the heart of a witch. If you hear on the night wind that my spirit has flown, you go walking in the low hills of Shimo alone. When the wings of the white owl wheel in from the sea, you will know it's my spirit returning